Hey guys, this is the Mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today as I take a deeper look into the most recent episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 5, the reunion part 2. I'm not doing a full episode recap. There are plenty of other content creators who do a great job covering the show. Instead, I'm going to focus on specific segments of the episode that I believe could be used as teachable moments for myself and the audience. So, the episode continues with Kiki talking about her relationship with Tisha and Marceau, and Marceau telling Melody and Martell about her addiction issues. I think they also discussed a picture that Tisha found in Marceau's phone. A woman sent Marceau a picture of her booty after apparently he had an interview with her. That's what he said, okay? And maybe this is why Marceau did not want Tisha to work with him, because men like Marceau tend to flirt with potential or prospective employees. And I've been to this experience personally myself when I was a lot younger, not even a lot younger, period. I have been flirted with by my potential bosses, and I've decided not to take those jobs. I remember one time when I was like 19 years old, I had I was being interviewed by a Jewish man. He's in his 50s. He looked great for his age. He was tall, he was handsome, he was wealthy. And during the interview, he asked me if I would go to his home in Long Island and he would offer to pay me $2,000 for a massage. And I said, no, thank you, because at that time I was still very, very shy, and I never really hadn't had a boyfriend at that point. I was 19 or 18, 19 years old. I mean, I dated some men, but I wasn't in a serious relationship with anybody. But anyway, I was 19 at that time, and he offered to pay me $2,000 an hour to go to his house. He said he would pick me up from my house in Brooklyn and take me to Long Island to give him a massage. And to which I replied, no, thank you. No, thank you. And so I told my brothers this, and they was like, you're stupid for not doing it. I said, what? I did not expect them to say that. My brothers was like, no, men don't care about that. They said something like, girls are too prissy. Girls are too, you're too much of a prude. Men would love to be offered $2,000 just to give somebody a massage. I said, I'm not doing that for no job. So, I didn't take the job, but I've had multiple experiences like that where my bosses would try to flirt with me. And anyway, I think Carlos asked if, Marceau had replied to the picture, and I think he said he hearted the picture. And then Kiki said that Marceau said, a midday's work surprise. His response sounded like he was continuing a conversation that had taken place in the office. Like perhaps, this is me speculating here, they had been flirting in the office and there was some chemistry between them or whatever. And, the employee wanted to secure her spot. She pretty much wanted to make sure that she got the job. And I'm going to say this from experience. Most women would not send their prospective employer a naked picture of themselves unless said employer gave them an indication that they were on that type of time. Like, I'm not going to send an explicit photo of myself to a perfect stranger who could be my boss unless I felt like that's the kind of language he spoke, or unless I felt like that was something he would appreciate. And he would only appreciate that. I would only know that he would appreciate that if we had a conversation during the interview that would indicate this. So this is like us flirting in the office, and there's some innuendo, there's some touchiness, a little bit of flirting here and there, okay? And then, like, to seal the deal, let me send this photo to remind you of what could be or what you could have access to if you gave me this job. And this usually happens to men who pretend to be single, because Marceau doesn't like to wear his wedding ring. I think he doesn't like to wear his wedding ring because he likes to invite these types of conversations, like this flirting behavior, this disrespectful flirting sexual behavior from women. Because why would a prospective employee, someone you don't know from a can of paint, okay, you don't know anything about them at all, right? You've never seen him before, and this is a woman. Why would she? Now, some women do this, but why would a woman who doesn't know a man from a can of paint send him a naked photo of herself unless she knew that he would be receptive to that gesture? What was being said during the interview that made this woman feel comfortable enough to send another woman's husband a naked picture of herself? And Marceau wasn't like, whoa, 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 fall back. I'm married. Chill out. No, he sounded like he appreciated the view. His response to her sounded like he was okay with that type of behavior. I have never even thought about sending a picture of myself, naked or otherwise, to my bosses for any reason whatsoever. A perfect stranger who's in a position of authority over me, my potential boss. I would only send a man a naked picture of myself if I had a crush on him, if I wanted to seduce him, if we were dating or something like that. And I still wouldn't do it that way, but that would be the only reason why I would send a photo of myself naked to a man. Okay, I would never send a naked photo of myself to a stranger who has the potential to be my boss, especially if that man is married, if I know he's married. But Marceau acts single, and I've said this in season 1 or 2. Marceau acts single when he leaves the house. That's why when he went on a camping trip a couple of seasons ago with Martell, Maurice, and Cedric, he had that 2-seater sports car that was completely inappropriate for camping in the woods. Okay. And that's why Miss Wanda was like, why are you bringing that car on a camping trip with 3 other married men? Like, that's the car you would take on a date with your mistress or your wife potentially. But I think Tisha said that she's not even allowed to drive that car, or she doesn't even use that car. Like, that's Marceau's car. Now, I'm not sure if he was playing games when he said that she couldn't drive it or she couldn't sit in it or something like that. But why would you get a 2-seater as a married man and then take that 2-seater with you on a camping trip with 4 other married men, knowing that your wife is out of town, right? For graduation, for school, right? And so, yeah, Marceau invited this woman, in my opinion. The conversation he had with this lady who was interviewing for a job, which is what he said. I'll take his word for it. She was interviewing for a job, right? I think they may have had an unprofessional or sexual conversation that made her feel comfortable in doing something like that to a married man and sending a picture like that to a married man. I wouldn't be surprised if Marceau either downplayed his marriage or acted like he wasn't married at all because he doesn't have a ring on his finger when he goes out. This is something that was discussed in season 1. Marceau not wearing his wedding ring ever. I think that him not wearing his ring makes it easier for him to play these types of mind games or to flirt with women. He may not cheat with them, which I don't believe at all, but he likes the flirtatiousness. He likes like this chauvinistic, inappropriate groping, touching, weird conversations. I've been in rooms with men like him before, and everything is like a joke or something that's sexual, but then when you don't reciprocate, they try to play it off as if, they're just playing. Oh, I wasn't playing. I'm married. I'm happily married. Like, I think he had conversations with this lady that was not appropriate, and she took the bait and tried to seal the deal for the job. Or, as a possibility, as a possibility, I'm just speculating here and throwing it out there for women who are going through something similar. Not to say that this is what Marceau is doing, but there's a possibility also that Marceau had another phone, 2 phones, and this woman accidentally sent that booty picture to the wrong phone number. And so there was no conversation thread. You could only see that one picture. There was nothing before it or after it because it was sent to the wrong phone number. And Tisha was like, well, I don't see anything else here. So it was just that was what you would call a red flag, right? And I think that the conversation was continued on Marceau's other phone. I don't think Marceau has 1 phone. I think he has 2. I know men who work regular jobs that have 2 phones or 3 phones even. I knew somebody with 3 phones. I knew a guy with 3 cell phones. Okay? And so, yeah, it is what it is. If she wants to believe that somebody sent her husband a booty picture that was unsolicited, or it wasn't something that he was receptive to per their discussion during the interview, then that's going to be on Tisha. She's going to have to deal with the consequences of playing boo-boo the fool. That's on her. But I saw Martell's facial expression, and Martell was smirking like hell. He was enjoying all of it because it was like men doing what men do. He knows what it is. He knows the game, right? And I think he enjoyed watching Tisha defend Marceau, knowing good and goddamn well what was going on. And Marceau was kind of flirting about it too. He didn't take it too seriously. There's so many questions that I would have had, like, what kind of conversation were you having with this lady to make her feel confident or comfortable texting you this image if you are a married man, or if she knew you were a married man? Does this woman know that you're married? And if she doesn't know, why didn't you tell her you're married? Especially if you want to work with her, right? Why didn't you check her or correct her for sending that picture instead of encouraging her behavior by hearting the picture and then saying something that's inviting, like a midday's work surprise? That sounds like a continuation of a conversation or some other exchange or interaction that took place before this photo was sent that made her feel comfortable in doing so. Okay. And so, whatever, it is what it is. At some point during the reunion, they talk about Miss Wanda and Melody's confrontation, and it becomes a circular argument because it is what it is. Like, at the end of the day, Miss Wanda would not have felt comfortable questioning the paternity of Melody's fourth child if Martell had not brought up that discussion with Dr. Heavenly when they were getting their divorce. It's as simple as that, because nobody thought that Melody was cheating until Martell said so. In fact, Martell was the first person to bring up the fact that Melody had an abortion. Nobody knew about that at all either. So Martell said that Melody had an abortion, and he was trying to imply that she had an abortion because she didn't know who she was messing with and so on. And he neglected to mention that Melody decided to have an abortion after Martell basically told her that he would cheat better. Basically, he didn't want to stop seeing Arion. And so Melody was like, I'm not going to be in a 3-ring circus anymore. You can be with your mistress. That's fine. So that's the reason why Miss Wanda felt like she had the ammunition to attack Melody. Martell gave her the ammo. Okay. Did she have the right to use it? Absolutely not, because the kids would be collateral damage. So during the reunion, they showed a clip of Martell apologizing to Marceau's son for implying that his father had an affair with 20 women. And Martell did not want, Marceau's son to feel any kind of way about it. So he apologized to him. Even though Martell wasn't attacking Marceau's children, the accusation of his father cheating on his mother potentially could have a negative impact on the son's mental health and emotional health. So Martell did the right thing by apologizing to Marceau's son for putting out the rumor that Marsau had 20 different women. And I think that that's one of the reasons why people are so mum and hush about the receipts they have of Marsau, because the kids are involved and they don't want Tisha and Marsau to get a divorce for the most part, because they want to make sure the kids have a happy 2-parent home. So I understand why they're doing what they're doing. It is what it is, right? And Tisha wants to hold the line to protect her children from the reality of their dysfunctional relationship. There's a possibility that Tisha is keeping the lie alive, not just for herself, but also for her children. And many married women do this. I'm going to pretend like my husband is perfect because I don't want my children to see him any other way. I don't want my children to think that their father ain't shit. Okay. And that's her prerogative. That's also one of the reasons why Martell is very upset with Melody, because he feels like she did not protect his image or his reputation in the eyes of his children. Now, it's very hard to do that when your children catch you on a date with your mistress. Okay, when you're so sloppy with it or so arrogant that now everybody knows what's going on, including your children, with or without Melody's input, then Melody had to put her foot down and saying, not only are you disrespecting me, but you're disrespecting your children and your family, because everybody knows about this now. On top of that, boss baby caught you having dinner with your mistress. And then Martell blamed Melody for that too. Like, how can you bring her out? How dare you take her out to get something to eat, and she just happens to catch me having dinner or lunch with my mistress of 5 years? How dare you not protect me from the consequences of my own action? And so he's resentful towards her because of that too, because she's not doing what Tisha's doing, which is keeping the lie alive to preserve the image of her relationship. Okay, anyway, so yeah, at some point, Miss Wanda, apologizes to Melody, and Melody is like, I really don't want to hear right now. She don't really care about the apology per se, and that is her prerogative. I understand why she would feel the way she feels, because Miss Wanda has done this before. So Miss Wanda was not supposed to apologize to Melody for Melody's forgiveness. Miss Wanda is supposed to apologize for herself. If she felt she did wrong, the apology was for her spirit. It wasn't for Melody. So Melody can take it or leave it. it should not make any difference to Miss Wanda because she was apologizing for her actions. She wasn't apologizing for Melody to like her or to forgive her. That should not be what she was apologizing for. She should apologize for herself and her actions to make peace with herself, not to, make peace with Melody per se. Whether Melody accepts her apology, that's her prerogative. It shouldn't make any difference, right? You shouldn't be less sorry if the person you're apologizing to says, fuck your apology, I don't care about you. That has nothing to do with anything, okay? Now, me personally, I learned a long time ago, I learned in middle school that when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. I learned that at a very young age, for reasons I'll discuss at a different point. But yeah, people usually are who they are, and it's not your job to change their behavior unless you're like a therapist or a counselor or something like that. It's not your responsibility to do that. It's your responsibility to establish boundaries for yourself so that they can't betray you or hurt you in the future, okay? Because if they've hurt you in the past intentionally, then more than likely they will do it again in the future, right? So yeah, Miss Wanda, it was good she apologized, but Melody doesn't have to accept the apology. As long as they treat each other with respect, then that's fine. At some point, Marsau said that Melody does not take accountability for anything, or she doesn't apologize for whatever, because apparently they were like, Melody confronted Miss Wanda like she wanted to fight. It wasn't just a conversation. And so they wanted Melody to basically take accountability for her role in escalating the situation and not diffusing it. Even though it wasn't her responsibility to do that because Miss Wanda started it, they wanted her to acknowledge the role she played in escalating the situation and not diffusing it. And I mentioned that a few weeks ago when I talked about this particular episode. I said that Melody is entitled to feel the way she feels, right? She's entitled to confront Miss Wanda. However, the energy that she confronted Miss Wanda with, she was going to get that back. And Miss Wanda is somebody who looks for an excuse to fight anyway. So regardless of how Melody approached her, there was going to be some sort of confrontation. But I will say this, Melody has apologized to Tisha in the past. I remember in seasons 1 and 2 even, when Melody apologized for the way their relationship ended because of what was going on with her and Martell. I remember when they went on the camping trip with Iyama, and Melody was like, I apologize for whatever. And Tisha was like, this is some bullshit. I don't believe you, right? I also remember Melody apologizing during one of the episodes for like how she pulled back or pulled away from the relationship because she wasn't trying to blame Tisha for what had happened. But Tisha's guilty conscience and her entitlement towards Melody made her feel like Melody was treating her some kind of way because of what Martell was doing. And Melody just needed some space. Tisha did not want to give Melody her space. Melody needed space to process what was happening with Martell. It was devastating for her to find out that her husband of 10 years was having an affair for several years. He had a whole girlfriend. That is an earth-shattering, life-changing revelation that would change most women. Most women would have a hard time trusting anybody after that experience. And so instead of Tisha giving Melody the grace and the time to process her pain in peace, she demanded even more of Melody's time and energy because Melody was actually a good friend to her. She wanted to be around her. She enjoyed her company. Like if my friend or family member were going through a painful divorce, okay, I would check in on them from time to time to make sure they're okay and to let them know that I'm there for them. We can talk about anything. It is what it is, but I'm not going to feel entitled to spend time with them. I'm not going to demand that they call me or answer my calls. No, they got a lot of stuff going on. And I'm not going to take it personally either because they have their own lives and their own identities and their own experiences separate from me. I'm not going to project what I want from our friendship onto somebody who's going through a horrible betrayal, right? Let Melody know that you're there as her friend and let her know that she can call you when she needs you, right? And that's it. Don't pressure her to show up the way she used to show up when she wasn't going through these same issues. Like you have to have the emotional intelligence to say, listen, this person is hurting right now. They cannot engage in a relationship the way they used to. They can't do it. It's not going to work. Now, I will say this. It seems like Destiny and Melody were closer than Tisha and Melody. And Tisha wanted the kind of relationship with Melody that Destiny had. Because during her divorce, it was like Destiny was Melody's rock. And I think Tisha wanted to be that for Melody too, but she went about it in the wrong way. And I think that there were some things that happened in their relationship prior to Melody's divorce that would make Melody push away from Tisha but cleave onto destiny more. Anyway. So yeah, I don't think it's fair to say that Melody doesn't take accountability for her actions. She doesn't apologize. I think she's done that before in the past. But I will say this. Melody's energy seemed very heavy. She seemed to be holding a lot in. She seemed tense and unhappy on the stage. And like she did not want to be there, or she didn't want to be around these people, right? Now, I want to say this. If you spend a lot of money on your hair and your makeup and your outfit, you want to show up, right? But while she was on the set, she seemed like she did not want to be there. She seemed depressed or just angry or sad or heavy. Her energy was very heavy, and it creates a vacuum. She seemed stressed, bothered, unhappy. Okay? Some people say bitter. I don't see bitterness like that, not yet anyway, but she didn't seem happy. And that's understandable because of what she's been through. But what happens is, if you show up with an attitude, it's easy for people to make you like the bad guy, right? You see how miserable Melody is? She's always like this. She's an evil, wicked, dark person. Look at her energy on the stage. So unfortunately, when we get in certain spaces, right? This is the thing, and I'll just go back and forth with it. People want Melody to be real and transparent. They want the cast members to be real and transparent, right? And Melody really isn't messing with these people like that. I don't think she really wants to be around these folks. She doesn't respect them or doesn't like them. Something is off, okay? And she's showing that. And so people have a problem with her showing that, right? But at the same time, if she didn't show it, they say she was fake. Because in seasons 1 and 2, Melody was very bubbly. She was very pageant girl. I think that she has been beaten down by this whole ordeal to the extent that some of her light has been taken from her. It's sad to see this, but not surprising. And it's a part of her evolution as a human being. It's a part of her growth. Unfortunately, many of us go through experiences with narcissists that literally suck the life out of us. And we saw this happen with Erica Mena and Safari. If you watch Erica Mena and Safari before they got married, you could see how vibrant and, full of life Erica was. And now she looks like a skeleton. Like she looks hollowed out, dried, angry, she looks broken. Okay. And I think that even though Melody tries to put on a brave face on her social media and she's smiling and talking about business, there's a part of her that feels lost. And that's understandable because she just got divorced 2 years ago. It wasn't like something that happened decades ago. As a matter of fact, she didn't just get a divorce. She got divorced from a narcissist. That's a different level of trauma and abuse that women have to go through, or even men too. And it does suck the life out of you. She has to find her light again. I think that's why she does her music and her creative projects. And I'm happy that she renewed her builder's license. I think that this show is like a double-edged sword because the storyline of the show was based on Martell and Melody's marriage and relationship. And so the interactions that they're having 5 seasons later, right? The dynamics of the cast members is based off of that ordeal. Okay. So now she's like in an energetic loop where she's recycling and re-experiencing the same trauma over and over again. And I think it's draining for her. I think that a part of her wants to spread her wings and fly, right? In a different direction, whether it's another show or another city or another home. I don't know. She needs change. I can sense that about her. She's not happy. I don't think it's just about the show. I think that she feels like she's in a rut in her life, energetically. So she's doing stuff, she's accomplishing things, but I don't think she feels fulfilled. That's not what I saw during the reunion. But that's okay. She just got a divorce. She has to rebuild her identity. She has to find out who she is outside of being money-making Mel or Martell's wife or mommy of 4 children. She's finding herself now. But that process is usually longer than 2 years. It takes a while for you to, develop a new exoskeleton, because Melody experienced an ego death when she got a divorce. Not just the divorce, but the humiliation of a mistress having a baby, the abuse that happened afterwards. There was a lot of stuff that happened. What concerned me about Melody's progress when she was moving forward, it was as if she was trying to recapture what she lost, right? She lost money, she lost businesses, she lost certain things, and she was trying to get back to where she was. This is who I used to be before I met this man, or this is where I used to be before I got divorced, right? This is who I used to be. I feel like she was trying to get back to the old Mel that existed before this marriage ever happened. If you remember in season 3, her mother was like, I see the old Mel again, right? After she left Martell, she was like, you're back to being who you used to be, in a sense, before this horrible relationship. And I don't think that is going to be fulfilling for her going forward. I think that when the new Mel meets the old Mel, she's going to realize that the clothes don't fit anymore. She's not the same person. So I can accomplish the same goals. I can make money and be business oriented, but that's not fulfilling for me as it once was. It's not as fulfilling for me as it once was, right? And so that was what I was concerned about last year, or last year or the year before even, late 2021, something like that, when I mentioned that Melody would have to go through some drastic changes to her identity because of the planetary transits to Aquarius, which will be squaring her sun, her moon, her Venus, her Saturn, and her Pluto. This is the beginning of a new her. It's not over yet, right? And I think that Melody stepped into her old role of being like this entrepreneur. She's moving fast and she's trying to make up for lost time or make up for what she lost during the marriage or during the divorce, only to realize that, oh snap, I'm not happy here either, because that was the old her. She's not the same person anymore. She's not even the same person she was before she met Martell. It's a whole different path for her. She's going to have to find that. But anyway, at some point, Stormy comes on the stage and she was like, I work really hard. It was disheartening that people called me ghetto, and people were contacting Carlos saying that Stormy was like making the show ratchet. And I'm going to say this. When I first saw Stormy, I said that Stormy reminded me of women who likes to start shit for no reason, who will look for an excuse to be offended just so they can have a reason to pop off. And I think I was right about that. However, I think Stormy is trying to turn a new leaf. I think for the first time, she saw herself on camera. And so now it was probably a come to Jesus moment where she was like, oh, wow, maybe I need to switch some things up because I don't like the way that I look on camera. I don't like the way that people are perceiving me based on how the producers are editing the show. And, like they always say in reality TV, they can't edit what you don't give them. So if you give them ratchet, they're going to edit that into the show. In the first couple of episodes, she was fighting and like being disrespectful towards Tiffany for no reason. So I was like, yeah, it's whatever. But it is good that she identified the problem, if it was a problem for her, and she's trying to change. She's trying to be a better representative of herself and her brand, which is good, right? If that's what she wants to do. And if she feels like that's necessary, then that's kudos to her. Some people don't want to change and they feel like they're perfect and they don't have to change for anybody. And that's what happens sometimes. So it is what it is. So yeah, she is on the right track. I think that adding her to the show would be good. I don't know why Lewis and Tiffany aren't there. I actually like Tiffany and Lewis for the show. Their energy was very calm and cool. And I think it was a good counterbalance to the dynamic between Martell and Melody and the other women and the fighting and the drama. I liked their scenes when they were together. When it comes to Destiny, basically, what's his name? Carlos was like, why are you on the show? You're not offering anything up. Destiny mentioned that she couldn't talk about her relationship with LeBaric. I think she said she could before. Didn't she say last reunion that she could talk about her relationship with LeBaric in the past? Something like that. Nothing was holding her back from doing that. And now she's saying that legally she can't do it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened. But yeah, she's been on the show for about 3 seasons now, and nobody knows anything about her other than the fact that she had a falling out with Melody, and that was it. But the basis of the show is their relationships, right? Not with other women, but with their partners. So Kimmy's with Maurice, Tisha's with Marsau, Melody's was with Martell. Even though they're divorced, their dynamic is still part of the show. Like Destiny's not really filming with a man. She doesn't have a partner to film with. So that's her prerogative to not film with her boyfriend. But then, like Kimmy said, this may not be the show for you, right? And Destiny complained about the edits to her storyline, and Kimmy was like, well, they all complained about that. That's not exclusive to you only. And then Destiny got defensive. Destiny seems to get defensive really easily. It seems like Destiny and Stormy are now cool in a sense. I said they would be cool months ago. I'm not surprised about that. They have a similar personality disposition. I know women like this who butt heads and they become best friends later on, or they become cool later on. So it is what it is. But yeah, Destiny, I don't know what her role is on the show besides being the bone carrier. And, you know, she was somebody who was Melody's friend, and she's Martell's friend. And now she's not Melody's friend anymore. But again, she's not showing her relationships on the show at all. I don't know if, like, okay, it wouldn't be fair to keep Destiny on the show if Tiffany and Louis are not on the show either. Like, Tiffany and Louis, at least they are showing their relationship, their marriage, right? You're in their home, whether it's fake or not. They're showing some dynamic between a husband and a wife. Destiny has never really done that on the show. So why should they keep her and not Tiffany and Louis? Not to try to take money out of her pocket. I'm not trying to do that. But like, why would they keep Destiny and not Louis and Tiffany? Right? So it is what it is. So yeah, I think that's it for now. And the next episode, or part 3, Carlos is crying about him being worried about Martell, and, you know, Martell loving Melody still, and so on. Everybody can see that. And, you know, people are still hurt about that. I remember when they showed clips of Martell and Melody together, like, you know, back in the good old days when they were still married, and the audience was like, oh, I wish they were together again. They forgot the whole deal that happened. Most people would want to rather see Martell and Melody married than separated, but it's just that their relationship is so toxic, it's hard to do that. And so I think people are concerned about Martell, Melody, and the children, because the divorce seemed to be hard on everybody. It's just that Martell has received less empathy or sympathy from the audience because this is his fault. You know, largely his fault. Not 100%, but like 95%, 90% is his fault. Like, you had a baby on your wife while you were married to her. 3 months after she gave birth to your 4th child. That's too much. He did way too much. Way too much. And so now it's tragic. It's tragic because nobody got what they wanted in this situation. Not even Ariane, right? Ariane wanted Martell for herself. But as soon as Melody divorced Martell, Martell had no use for Ariane anymore. She was only attractive when Melody was his wife still. I mentioned why before. I said it several times. Okay, so anyway, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your feedback. If you want to order a personal astrology reading or tarot reading for me, you can go to my website. I have also posted the yearly readings for all signs on my Patreon. You can take a look at that if you want to. I'm going to be posting the bi-weeklies this weekend. What's this weekend? Around Friday, I'll post the bi-weeklies for all signs to the Patreon tiers. And again, I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.